The Ramakrishna Vedanta Society of North Carolina, a humble home on Globe Road, Morrisville. For years, devotees gathered here, in love, in prayer, in community. The presence of Holy Trio has blessed this land from the very beginning. It is for them, and for all seeking souls, that a new universal temple will rise. This temple is not built for one people, or one faith, or one path. It is built for every seeking soul. In 1893, Swami Vivekananda shared a vision with the world. We believe not only in universal toleration, but we accept all religions as true. As Sri Ramakrishna taught, Joto Mat, Toto Bot. As many faiths, so many paths. All are welcome here. Universal Temple of Ramakrishna Vedanta Center of NC. But first, the land had to be prepared. Across Globe Road, a wooded lot waited. Bamboos, dense trees, wild undergrowth. This land held its breath, waiting for a higher purpose. With faith as the foundation. Before the foundation was laid, every root removed, every obstacle cleared. The land was made ready for something eternal. The ground was broken, and a dream was planted. Our foundation had begun. In a moment of profound grace, the rendering of this temple was blessed by Most Revered Swami Gautamanandaji, President of the Worldwide Ramakrishna Math and Mission. Before the machines arrived, volunteers kept this land alive, month after month, clearing the weeds, holding the ground, keeping the dream within reach. Now, look at this land. Not long ago, dense forest, bamboo, wild undergrowth, slowly impenetrable. But today, it is being shaped by faithful hands and heavy machines, leveled, prepared, made ready. This is your investment at work. Every dollar donated, every prayer offered, every hour volunteered, it is visible right here, in this very earth, being shaped and leveled. A sacred foundation, a holy ground. By the grace of Sri Ramakrishna, the temple rises, one layer of earth at a time.
I just want to say something on behalf of the ashrama. As you can see, they have taken up a big work and it's coming along very nicely thanks to generous contributions from you. We are shy about asking for money, but I say you should because you're doing something wonderful. And this will be like a permanent gift to the community for generations ahead. So please do contribute. All those who are here, And those who are watching or will watch this, it's my appeal to you. Please offer whatever you can to this wonderful project, and let the ashram come up and be a blessing to the whole community for generations, decades, and centuries into the future. You can't think of a better legacy.
Pranam. As I stand here, I'm filled with a sense of deep gratitude and a sense of responsibility. So many of you have gathered over the weekend, leaving aside a lot of the distractions, a lot of your activities, to come to a spiritual talk and participating in the fundraising to construct the Universal Temple of North Carolina, which is already underway. We are truly blessed today to have Swami Sarvapriyananda ji here. His talks are not just talks, they are transformative in nature. And through Swami Sarvapriyananda ji, we actually feel the presence of Swami Vivekananda and his great master, Sri Ramakrishna Paramahansa, and his holy consort, Holy Mother Sarda Devi. So those of you who do not know much about Ramakrishna Vedanta Society of North Carolina, we are part of a worldwide spiritual movement called Ramakrishna Movement, which is engaged in service to humanity. We have a very humble center on Globe Road in Morrisville, and what we try to do is very simple, very humbly and sincerely. We try to realize the divinity within us and to serve the divinity around us. Very simple. But today I'm going to talk about something much deeper as to why we are trying or we are constructing the Universal Temple of North Carolina. What is the mission? What is the vision? And why do we need this space? Swami Sarvadevananda ji, who is the spiritual head of our center, once lovingly told me, there's a lot of pain in this world. There's a lot of people who are suffering. They're struggling, a lot of anxiety. They need a space. They need a space where they find peace. They feel the presence of the divine. They feel the love of the divine, love of fellow devotees. They need a space. We have a space. It's too small. We need a sacred, bigger space. Next thing is we need that space for our future generations. Our children are very smart. They're going to achieve a lot of different things, and they're going to earn a lot of money. They're going to be very successful. But who is going to teach them how to remain grounded? Who is going to teach them how to be calm? Who is going to teach them how to be compassionate? Who is going to teach them who truly they are? Who truly they are? Who am I? It's the title of this talk. So many of you have gathered here for that talk. Swamiji gave that talk first in IIT Kanpur 12 years ago. There are 6 million views to that talk. Who is going to teach that to our children? So we need a space for the children. The schools are not going to teach all of that. We have a Vedanta school and our dedicated teachers who impart those values to the next generation. The next thing is service. What does spirituality mean if it is not resulting in any action? Yesterday's talk, authentic existence. My brother is standing in the back and he summed it up very nicely at the end of the talk. Authentic existence is unselfishness and serving others. At Vedanta Society of North Carolina, we humbly try to serve people. We take food to the homeless shelters for women and children once a month. We go out to the urban ministry of Durham. We serve food ourselves, not from a distance. A lot of organizations are serving humanity. Where is all that coming from? It's not us. That comes from Swami Vivekananda, who first said Jive Sheva. It comes from his master Ramakrishna Paramahansa. Do we not need a space for those teachings? And that's what we are trying to do here. That's why we are trying to do a universal temple that is not going to be a temple for just one people. It's going to be a temple for all faiths, where people who are stressed out can relax, find peace, unwind. That's what we are trying to do. So, if you believe in our vision, our mission, and the need for this space, I humbly request you to be part of this journey. Not just as donors, but as part of a legacy. Some years down the lane, when people say there's someone who had the vision and the courage to build this, let that someone be us. Thank you very much for your support, for your devotion, and for being here.
Thank you, Samrat. In the spiritual tradition of Vedanta, it is said that knowledge alone can set us free, but only when it's properly understood, reflected upon, and lived. For that, we need a guide. And when such a guide combines profound scholarship with the rare gift of making the most subtle truths accessible, even to our very practical modern minds, it is truly a blessing. It is my great privilege, honor, and grace to introduce Swami Sarvapriyananda, monk of the Ramakrishna order and the spiritual leader of the Vedanta Society of New York. Before donning the saffron robes, Swamiji had earned an MBA from the Xavier Institute of Management in Bhubaneswar, a corporate world detour that lends his teaching an unusually structured, jargon-free clarity rarely found in traditional spiritual discourses. He has often shared that as a child, his first ambition was to become a pilot, and his second to find God, until the second goal quietly consumed the first. He formally joined the Ramakrishna order in 1994 at age 23 and took his first final monastic vows in 2004 under Swami Ranganathanandaji. Swami Sarvapriyananda is widely regarded as one of the most compelling contemporary teachers of Vedanta. Through his lectures, writings, and widely followed online talks, he has brought the timeless wisdom of Upanishads into the lives of seekers across the world. His ability to combine razor-sharp logic with deep spiritual insight and occasionally a perfectly timed touch of humor has made even the most abstract truths feel immediate and relevant. A hallmark of his style is his dialogue he stages between Advaita Vedanta and modern thought, engaging with neuroscience, consciousness studies, AI, and thinkers like David Chalmers, Donald Hoffman, and Bernardo Kastrup, while drawing parallels with Christian, Buddhist, and Sufi traditions. In 2019-2020, he became part of the first group of Hindu Swamis to serve as the inaugural fellow at Harvard Divinity School, cementing the role as a bridge between traditional monasticism and Western academic inquiry. His gentle humor, his fondness for Star Wars and Matrix analogies, and his knack for making dense doctrines feel almost conversational. What makes Swamiji's teaching especially powerful is that he does not ask us to withdraw from life, but rather to understand it more deeply, to discover the infinite within the finite, the eternal within the everyday. At yesterday's talk at the Duke University's glorious Godson Chapel, Swamiji mesmerized us with his insights on authentic existence that Samrat mentioned. A thought stuck to me from the last night. Swamiji urged everyone to not think about us as human beings in search of spiritual experience. Rather, he inspired us to think as spiritual beings going through a human experience. Such is the power of universal consciousness that pervades amongst all of us. Now, I would request one of our own, Mr. Swadesh Chatterjee, to formally welcome Swamiji. Swadesh da, as we lovingly call him, a physics honors graduate from Belur Math Vidya Mandir, Swadesh da has been a tireless karma yogi who has dedicated himself to fostering stronger ties between United States and India. In 2001, the President of India conferred upon him the Padma Bhushan, one of India's highest civilian awards, for his work in building better US-India relations. He played a key role in the signing of the 123 Civil Nuclear Pact between US and India, and previously served as the president of the Indian American Forum for Political Education, where he helped strengthen the Congressional Caucus on India and Indian Americans. He leads the US-India Friendship Council and is the author of a brilliant book named Building Bridges. Former North Carolina Governor Ray Cooper presented the state's highest award, Order of the Longleaf Pine, to Mr. Chatterjee. The governor described Swadesh Chatterjee as a spark plug among us, as he applauded his contribution not only to the development of North Carolina, but also to the India-US relationship and enriching the cultural milieu of the United States. More recently, he was elected to the University of North Carolina Board of Governors, continuing his long record of civic and educational leadership in the state. So can you please come to the stage?
Thank you very much, Amit. I know my wife is sitting here. She will be very happy with this introduction. So thank you. I am truly honored and humbled to introduce someone whom I admire. Swami Sarvapriyananda is the Minister of Vedanta Society of New York. And his predecessor, Swami Tathagatananda, was also the minister in the Vedanta Society of New York, happened to be my warden, my superintendent when I was studying physics honors at Belur Vidya Mandir. That time his name was Lokhi Maharaj. So I got the privilege to go to him in New York, and also he came here. So I am attached to Ramakrishna Mission at the age of 15 years. When I went to college, my age was 15. My life foundation has started in Ramakrishna Mission from 1962 to 1965. Swami Sarvapriyananda joined the Ramakrishna Mission and the belief at the age of 23. At Amit mentioned very eloquently that, it was Swami Sarvapriyananda that at the age of 23 to become a part of Ramakrishna Mission and take the sannyasi in 2004. Swamiji was just telling, please put the light on. And the reason he was telling to put the light on, Swamiji is a teacher. He was the vice principal of Devghar Ramakrishna Mission Vidyapit, and then he became principal of the Ramakrishna Mission Sikha Mandir. I used to go to Vidya Mandir, that was the college. Then in the same close by, there was a college called Sikha Mandir, which was for B.Ed education for the teachers. And Swamiji was principal on that college. So you can imagine why Swamiji was telling, I used to be a teacher. And he was also the assistant minister at the Hollywood in California before he came to New York. I have heard his lecture 3 years ago in New Jersey. And I have never heard that someone can explain to all of us in general about what this Vedanta is all about. His lecture on Gita and connect this with general people is unheard of. Fortune magazine told Swami Sarvapriyananda is the best lecturer on Upanishad in the world. So he has not only spoken all the university around the globe, including Harvard School of Divinity. When he was graduating, he has 2 goals. First goal was to become a pilot. And second goal was to find God. So he decided the second goal, Though I argue that he did not forget the first goal. He is still a pilot, but not in the cockpit, but he is piloting self-realization in our life. He is piloting all of us. So he is really a true pilot. I am so humbled that he came here and giving a lecture to all of you. It is an opportunity. Take advantage of this, and please welcome Sarvapriyananda ji to the voice.
Om, lead us from the unreal to the real, lead us from darkness to light, lead us from death to immortality. Om, peace, peace, peace. Namaste and good evening and welcome. Some of you were there yesterday, and so welcome back to you, and a lot of new faces also. Thank you for that very heartfelt welcome, Swadesh Babu, a very distinguished and eminent member of the community here. But he's also part of the large Ramakrishna Vivekananda family. It goes back to his teenage days as a student in the Belur Vidya Mandir. I'm sure his affection towards me is partly also due to Swami Tathagatananda ji. He sees me as Tathagatanji's successor, so I'm like a child to him, so people are always partial to the children. He mentioned the teacher training college, the Shikshan Mandira. So, yes, so I've been teaching for a long time. When I became a monk, 1994, the first job I had in the ashram was in Deoghar Vidyapith. It's an ashram. There I had to teach school children. And there was a whole hostel, dorm, with 40 school kids which I was supposed to supervise. That was my first seva which I had to do, service. And I thought, if I had not become a monk, if I had married and been a householder, I might have had 1 or 2 kids. Now I have 40 to take care of. This is not what I expected. So I taught school kids. Then I used to teach some courses at the Vidya Mandir College also for college kids. Then I taught school teachers. And then I taught monks, novice monks. So I've been teaching for a long time now. When I was in the institute where school teachers are trained, so somebody quoted George Bernard Shaw. He had a cruel observation about teachers. He said, those who can do, those who cannot teach. And then somebody joked and added, and they were all teachers of teacher educators, they were all present there. Those who cannot teach, they teach teachers. I was the principal, so another senior Swamiji, he added, and those who cannot teach teachers, they become the principal of teachers training college. But yes, it's a wonderful opportunity. In Vedanta, when we had the opportunity to teach, it's one hand as a seva, a service. In the Ramakrishna order, we have a whole spectrum of service, from feeding the hungry. Swami Vivekananda said, my God the hungry, my God the illiterate, my God the sick, my God the poor, my God the wicked. These and others are the special object of my worship. And so in the Ramakrishna order, the service that we do is not like a non-profit, not like a social service organization. It's part of our spiritual practice. And the service is a whole range of service, from feeding the hungry, there are medical dispensaries, hospitals, there are schools and colleges and now a university. A whole range of services, but also spiritual service. So when monks of the Ramakrishna order, when we are teaching, we're not really teaching. We don't really think of ourselves as teachers. We are serving. The divinity present before us, we offer the service, the worship of what we say. Sri Ramakrishna's formula, Shiva Jnani Jiva Seva, to serve all sentient beings is the worship of God. Knowing them to be God, when you serve them, this is verily the worship of God. There is another benefit to this. Not only is it part of our spiritual practice, but also it's a meditation. Those who have had this experience, of those of you who are teachers, you know that in teaching you learn better. So when we teach here in the school or in the university, our command, our depth, our grasp over the subject actually deepens when you interact with hundreds of minds who can come at it from different angles, ask different questions, as we shall see later on today. So that's another great benefit of being able to discuss and teach this material. I want to start by emphasizing, I am beginning to see how remarkable Vedanta is, this path of knowledge, this path of inquiry. There are many paths of spirituality, all of which are valid. Valid in the sense they all work. The most common path of being spiritual is the path of faith, of belief, that there is God. And we are supposed to believe in God, worship God, pray to God, love God, surrender to the Lord, keep God central to our lives. All based on faith, on belief. And this you find in the major theistic traditions of the world. You find it in Christianity. You find it in Islam. You find it in Judaism. In Hinduism, there are multiple theistic traditions. Shaivism, Shaktaism, Vaishnavism. There are various ways in which God is conceived and worshipped. So that's one path. And it's a deep, profound path. And very sweet path, because the path of love and worship. It's the way of bhakti, one way. Now, the problem, if you are looking for a problem, the problem with that is, because it's the way of faith, faith is the issue. Suppose someone doesn't have faith. Suppose someone cannot believe. And we are living in an age where never in all of history have there been so many atheists or agnostics as there are in this age. There are large numbers of people who are either outright, we do not belong to any religion, we do not believe in any religion. Notice the word belief. We do not believe in any religion. And so, what about them? Even the word for religion in America, what's the word we use? Faith. The word we use for religion in America is faith. That means it's sort of understood that religion means believing something, having faith in something. That is one way, but the problem is that one can question it. Suppose one questions the existence of God. If you start with questions, if you start with skepticism, if you start with demanding answers from the very beginning, then the way of faith cannot begin for you. It demands faith at the beginning. Later on you may get answers, you will get answers, but not at the beginning, not in the middle. Only towards the very end of it will some clarity dawn. But until then, one must proceed on faith, on belief, on good grounds, but still faith or belief. There is another more direct way of being spiritual. This was understood in ancient India, that faith is not the only way of spirituality. There are other ways of being spiritual. There is an experience, a direct experience path. Vivekananda would say in this country when he came more than 100 years ago, religion is realization. If God exists, I should be able to see God. If I have an immortal soul, I should be able to feel it. It's a very empirical demand that I must be able to experience religion. I must be able to experience spirituality. So that is the way of direct experience. Patanjali, the author of the Yoga Sutras, he says you don't have to believe. You don't have to have faith or belief in that. All you have to do is practice these exercises I'm giving you. In the depths of meditation, you will realize the claims of religion will become clear to you. You will validate the claims of religion. So you sit in this way, you breathe in this way, you focus your mind in this way, and you will go into deeper and deeper levels of meditation. In the depths of meditation, you will have some extraordinary experiences, visions and the like, which will demonstrate to you that what we are talking about in spirituality, in religion, is a fact. And that's also true. But suppose again you are a little skeptical about it. One might say that, how do I know? You see, the problem is extraordinary experiences is that they are extraordinary. If they're extraordinary, they're not common to everybody. If they're not common to everybody, one can doubt it. I don't doubt that you are experiencing something, but how do I know it's real? You could be hallucinating. You could be high on drugs. Or in ancient times, throughout history, the mystics of great religions, or the great religious mystics of all religions, whenever they claimed that they had experienced God, they had a vision of God, they had heard the voice of God, what was the reaction of ordinary people? What was the reaction of people in Dakshineshwar to Thakur, to Sri Ramakrishna? They say he's mad. They would say he's mad. He's crazy. He's off his head. Apparently he sees God and talks to God. So that is the thing. It can be doubted. It can be, one can be skeptical about it. Hume, philosopher, said, extraordinary claims require extraordinary proof. So if you have made an extraordinary claim that I'm seeing God, it requires extraordinary proof. And unfortunately for the mystic, there is no proof except their own experience. And we don't get the proof. So one can doubt it. A neuroscientist today would claim that, they'll be polite. They won't say that you are high or you are crazy. They will say, yes, I don't doubt that you are seeing light or feeling one with the universe, but it's just a tumor in the brain. It is pressing on these, and that is giving you certain experiences. So the claim for mystical experience can be doubted, has been doubted and can be doubted. That does not mean that there are no genuine mystical experiences. There are. At the source of all the great spiritual traditions of the world, every religion, at its core, there is a spiritual tradition. And the source of those spiritual traditions are the genuine mystical experiences of the founders, of the rishis, of the prophets, of the great masters of religion, of the saints and yogis and bodhisattvas. They had these experiences again and again and again. And those experiences are at the bottom of this, but it can be doubted. And the thing is, we don't have them right now. You can say that if you practice like this, you will get it. But yes, get it. It's a long and arduous path. And until then, it's still faith. It's still a kind of, you take it on faith. Why I'm saying all this is to contrast it with the Vedantic path. This Vedantic path, Jnana Yoga, the way of knowledge, Advaita Vedanta, non-dual Vedanta, the uniqueness of this I want to stress. Here is a path which does not demand that you believe. In fact, it demands you must not believe. You must understand. This is a school. Suppose in the math class or the science class, the teacher says something and says, do you get it? And the student says, no, I don't get it, but I believe you. The teacher will be upset. You must understand. You must get it. So the way of knowledge is, we must understand. It's not a question of believing. Again, if you contrast it with the way of mystical experience, in the way of knowledge, there is experience. It's experiential. It is based on experience. But the experience is our daily available experience. It does not demand any extraordinary yogic experience. In Vedanta, when you talk about the 5 layers of the human personality, body and prana and mind and all of that, that's already there. Everybody has a body. When you talk about the 3 states of waking, dreaming, sleeping, we all have those states. There's nothing extraordinary about it. It's a daily experience, a quotidian, always available experience for all of us. We all know what they're talking about. When they talk about the seer and the seen, drigdrishya, who doesn't have that experience? We all have it. We're having it right now. Subject and object, that's the very structure of all experience. So, here is some uniqueness of the way of knowledge, way of Vedanta, Advaita Vedanta. We're talking about Advaita Vedanta here. That it is based on experience, it's based on reason and understanding, and that experience it is based on is a commonly available experience. Based on our commonly available experience, Vedanta takes us step by logical step into our own reality and points out something extraordinary which we have never noticed till now. And the claim is, once you really know what you are, what we truly are, your problems will be solved. What you're looking for, you already are that. We have to discover it. Spiritual journey can be of different types. There can be a spiritual journey in space. That, this is a school. There is a church. That is a holy place. You have to go from here to that. Or you have to go to a pilgrimage place. Or God is not here. God is in heaven. You will go to heaven and then see God. So spirituality, God, the ultimate reality is not here, but it's there. Then you have a journey in space, going from here to there. Vedanta is not like that. Vedanta says what we are talking about, what we are going to talk about, is here also. Is here and everywhere. But here. You don't have to go anywhere. Another kind of spiritual journey can be in time. Not now, then. I see a poster. After death you will see God. Rather ominous. And below that will be written 1800 you call. So after death you will see God. I'm sure that's true. After death you will see God. But look at the word after. It's a time word. Not now, then. After. But Vedanta is not like that. It doesn't say something will happen after. You don't have to wait for it. It's now. It's all the time and it's now. It's everywhere and it's here. And it is ourselves. It's an inquiry into our own existence. That's the beauty of it. It's a rational, a logical inquiry into our ever-present experience of ourselves. It's not a journey in time. It's not a journey in space. Then what kind of a spiritual journey is Vedanta? It's a journey of knowledge, from not knowing to knowing, from ignorance to knowledge, from not realizing to realizing. Something is being pointed out here. It's important to make these distinctions. It's an advertisement for Vedanta, but it's important to make these distinctions. That's what makes it very appealing. If we begin to appreciate what it is, it's truly extraordinary. There is no other body of knowledge in this world as extraordinary as Advaita Vedanta. It directly points out something to us which is most valuable, and about you, about ourselves. Our favorite subject in the world, for everybody, our favorite subject is I, me, myself. And Vedanta is that. It's about you. It's about yourself. How can one not be interested in Vedanta? So it's the most interesting subject. Very logical, directly available. You're talking about something that is instantaneously available because it's now. You don't have to wait for it. You're talking about something that is effortlessly available. You don't have to do this practice or that practice and then something will happen. No, it's something already here. In Sanskrit, there is a word siddha vastu, an already established reality. And that will just be pointed out to us. So this is the nature of Vedanta, and good to keep it in mind. Otherwise, what happens is, when we say, oh, I listened to a talk, we confuse it with a philosophy talk. Or a set of instructions, spiritual instructions. If you get a set of spiritual instructions, then what do you have to do? You have to do something about it. You have to practice that. And then we get the result. We are used to this kind of teaching. We understand. I heard a nice talk, then I have to practice it, what was taught, and then I expect some results. But Vedanta is not like that. It's not a set of instructions. It's not even something to practice. That's why it's so extraordinary. Something is being pointed out. It is something to see. In the proper sense of the Indian word for philosophy, darshana, to see. To see the ultimate reality. There are practices, there are beliefs, and all of those are helpful. We can discuss it in the question answer. But the core of Vedanta is extraordinary. It is to see. And it's very interesting that the Indian word for philosophy, darshana, also means to see. See the ultimate reality. An interesting aside here. We were always taught that Western philosophy is different from darshana. The Sanskrit word darshana means to see. And philosophy, we were taught, I still remember our philosophy teacher would come in. He said, Western philosophy, the young monks, there was a philosophy teacher who would come from the university and teach Western philosophy. He said, Western philosophy, oh monks, don't confuse it with your darshana. Because philosophy is philosophia, the love of wisdom. The love of wisdom. It's a way of thinking, logical, rational inquiry. That is what is philosophy. And we took it for granted, yes, this is a different way of approaching it. However, It's not true. It's something I discovered much later. There is a book about philosophy, but written by a Frenchman, Jean-Luc Ferry, French philosopher, and the book became very popular, so it was translated into English, and I read that. So he gives an insight there. He says philosophy is not the right word for this subject. The right word for this subject is theory. Theory, the English word theory. And then he says, but do you know what is the etymological meaning of theory? It comes from the Greek theos and orao, which means to see ultimate reality. To see, to appreciate ultimate reality. The exact meaning of darshana. That's just an interesting aside, that originally Greek philosophy was this actually, to access an ultimate reality. That was the core idea of philosophy even in the West here. So, when we come to Vedanta, this thing is being pointed out to us. We must grasp it. It's very extraordinary, this body of knowledge. The Kena Upanishad, which I've selected, Dr. Das said that I had given this talk in IIT Kanpur 12 years ago. But that talk was based on the Mandukya Upanishad. Today, the talk that we're going to use the Kena Upanishad. All these Upanishads, they teach you the same thing. Devolina said she is chanting a beautiful verses from Isha Upanishad. Again, the same thing. So the Kena Upanishad also, but Kena Upanishad is a spectacular, small and spectacular Upanishad. We'll see, we'll appreciate it as we go along. It starts with a question. The student asks a question to the teacher. We don't have the name of the student, but it starts with a question. And what an extraordinary question. I'll chant the original Sanskrit. It's beautiful to hear, maybe 4,000 years old. We don't know who is asking this question. But what a beautiful question. Today we are asking it in the 21st century. Beautiful question. Question. Kene shitam patati preshitam mana kena prana prathama praiti yuktaha kene shitam vachamimam vadanti kaude deva Shrotram Chakshu Kaudeva Yunakti. The student asks that these thoughts which are coming in my mind, impelled by what? How do I have this experience of thinking? How do I have this experience of speaking? Of this breath that I draw in, that the eyes see and with the ears I am hearing. These experiences which we are having right now. Remember, as I said, it starts with our daily experience. Not some extraordinary yogic vision of God. It starts with our daily experience. So these experiences we are having right now, how is it possible? What is giving rise? Of course, he's asking about conscious experience which we are having. What gives rise to this conscious first-person experience of seeing, of hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, of thinking and remembering and desiring and enjoying and suffering, of speaking, of this in-breath and the out-breath? What is this? How is this experience possible? Remember, he's asking one question. If you look at the question itself, he's not asking many questions. When he's asking, how do I see? He's not really asking about the mechanism of the eyes or the visual cortex or the optic nerves. No, he's not asking that. It's not a question about physiology. When he's asking, how do I think? It's not a question about psychology. All of this is one question alone. Otherwise, what would happen is, how do I see? You can say, go to the ophthalmologist. He will tell you how you see. How do I hear? And the eye, nose, throat doctor is there. Ear, nose, throat doctor, ENT doctor. They will tell you how you hear. How do I think? Go to the psychologist, psychiatrist. They will tell you how this thinking is going on. No. It's not about the mechanism of the body, of the senses, of the mind. It's not a physiological question. It's not a psychological question also. It's a question, one question only. A question about experience. First-person experience. Just the experience of life. When I say talk about your experience, what kind of experience are you having? And we will all say the same thing. When I'm seeing and I'm hearing, I touch and I smell and I think and I speak. I do some actions. I have an internal life of thoughts and feelings and memories. All of this is my experience of life. And the question is, how is it possible? And the way the student puts it, Kahudeva Yunakti, which shining being illumines all this, makes all this possible. The word Deva, it means div. The etymological root is from shining, div, to shine. Interesting, the light motive, it is throughout Vedanta, shining, revealing, illumining. The verses from the Isha Upanishad, which Devalina chanted just now. You see, the sun, the shining disc, golden disc of the sun, light. In Vedanta, the light, it has a specific meaning. Anything that reveals anything which was in darkness, that which reveals is called light. So this room was in darkness, and then the lights came on. That's why we call it light, because what was in darkness was revealed by this light. So it's a light. But the light of these lights is your ear, our eyes. Because if I don't keep my eyes open, I will not see, no matter how many lights are lit up, are switched on. So our eyes reveal that light. And in that way, the senses are all lights. The ears are a kind of light, quote unquote, for sound. The nose is like a light for fragrance. The tongue for flavor. The skin for touch. Our language is a light. So these are all lights. And for all of these to function, our senses, our language, for all of them to function, you need one light behind all of them, which is the mind. Unless attention is there, my ears are open, sound is coming in. If I don't pay attention to it, I won't hear anything. If my mind is elsewhere. So the mind is the light of the senses. But consciousness is called in the Upanishads the light of lights. Again and again you get this kind of phrase. In fact, Sri Krishna uses this exact phrase in the Bhagavad Gita. Jyotisham api tad jyoti. It is the light of lights. What is he talking about? Consciousness. He's talking about you. So consciousness is the light of lights. In the Kena Upanishad, Mandukya Upanishad, Shvetashvatara Upanishad, 3 Upanishads, the same mantra comes. Very sublime poetic mantra. Na tatra suryo bhati na chandra tarakam nema vidyuto bhanti kuto yamagni tameva bhantam anubhati sarvam tasya bhasa sarvamidam vibhati. Beautiful Sanskrit, what does it mean? That ultimate reality, it cannot be illumined by sunlight. It cannot be illumined by the moon, by the stars, or by lightning, or by our mere mortal fire. But that shining, all of these shine after it. By its light, everything here is lit up. That shining, that ultimate reality shining. What is that ultimate reality? Pure consciousness. Consciousness shining, everything else shines after it. By the light of consciousness, everything here is lit up. You shining, everything else shines after you. Everything else means consciousness shining, the mind shines. The mind shining, the senses are lit up. The senses being lit up, the world is revealed to you. And it is by the light of consciousness that alone everything is lit up here. Unless consciousness is there, thoughts won't be experienced. Unless the mind is there, the sensory inputs will not be experienced. Unless the sensory inputs are experienced, what you see, hear, smell, taste, touch, nothing will be experienced. So the light of lights is consciousness. All of this the student packs into one word. Kaudeva Yunakti Deva, shining being. So it is utterly holy, that which is shining in all of us. In the Bhagavad Gita, 13th chapter, Krishna uses as a beautiful verse, he uses this idea, light of lights. Jyotisham api tad jyoti tamasah paramuchyate jnanam geyam jnanagamyam hridhi sarvasya dhishtitam. What does that mean? It is the light of lights, forever beyond darkness, forever beyond the darkness of sorrow, ignorance, unhappiness, restlessness, lack of fulfillment. There is a light beyond all of that. And it is knowledge. It makes all knowledge possible. And it is that which has to be known. Whatever we know is also that light. And how do you know it? Through knowledge, jnanagamyam. Where do you find this amazing thing? In the hearts of all sentient beings. Hearts means in the minds of all sentient beings. Hrihi sarvasya adhishtitam. Again, talking about consciousness. Today we are asking the same question which this Upanishadic student asked 3,000 or 4,000 years ago. Consciousness studies is all the rage now. If you look it up, hard problem of consciousness. Enormous amount of literature. And because I'm interested in consciousness studies, I guess that's why Google keeps on feeding latest articles on consciousness to me. But it is true. Every other week there is some article, and they are in either scientific journals or popular science journals. It's very newsworthy now. And the articles fall in two categories. One category will be consciousness explained. Mystery is solved now. How? Every article will have a different answer. Or the other kind of article will be just the opposite. Mystery of consciousness. We don't understand it. Every week or other week there will be the opposite article. Yesterday I mentioned Robert Lawrence Kuhn. If you look him up, Closer to Truth. So he has interviewed so many philosophers, scientists, and so many people. And one of the things he's interested in all the big questions of science and philosophy. One of the main things he's interested in mostly now his focus is on consciousness. What is this consciousness? And he says, in his search, he found 325 theories of consciousness. He wrote an encyclopedic survey of all the possible theories of consciousness, which he could gather. And he found 325. He called it, it's a publicly available PDF, called the Landscape of Consciousness. But in a more recent interview I heard, he said that 325 is not the end. Now the number is 400 and counting. Which basically means we have no real idea of what consciousness is. But we are asking this question. We have been asking and we are asking this question. What the Kena Upanishad student asked, today also we are asking. The usual answer would be, what's the big deal? It's the brain, don't you know? Those ancient people didn't know about the brain. Now we know about the brain. The brain is producing consciousness. But if you ask a little deeper question, how is the brain producing consciousness? Is the brain at all producing consciousness? That's where many of those theories are coming from. That they're trying to reduce consciousness to brain activity. And they cannot. There's always an explanatory gap. Brain activity, what will you find when you scan the brain? Electrical activity in the neurons. I remember as school students, we had to draw that axon, dendrite and all that. I don't know if you... So, synapses. And we have to learn about the neurochemistry of how the neurons communicate with each other. More or less, science is at that level. That's all you can find. The latest equipment, very sophisticated, fMRI scans and all, they're giving us more detailed idea about that structure. But that's it. One of the most brilliant physicists alive today, Witten, Ed Witten, he's a string theorist at the Institute of Advanced Studies in Princeton. So I saw an interview with him. Now, he's not a neuroscientist, but in the interview, a journalist, so after asking one or two questions about string theory, he asked him a question about mystery of consciousness. Professor, what do you think about mystery of consciousness? He's a very soft-spoken, I think Swadesh Babu must have met him, and some of the physicists here would have met him. I've never had the chance to meet with him. An impressive person. A very soft-spoken person. He said, as neuroscience advances, I am sure we will learn more and more about the brain. But I think consciousness will remain a mystery. And it is true. 1999, there was a debate, Christoph Koch and David Chalmers. David Chalmers, who proposed the hard problem of consciousness, that you cannot reduce consciousness to brain. Christoph Koch, who is one of the leading neuroscientists of the world, he said there in that meeting, he said, it was a public debate. He said, no, give us time. Neuroscience will be able to explain consciousness. It's progressing very fast. How much time? This is called promissory materialism. I promise to give you an explanation. Give me time. How much time? 25 years, he said. 25 years, we will be able to explain consciousness. So David Chalmers said, no, you're making a category error. You may learn more and more about the brain, but neuroscience will advance, but no explanation of consciousness will be possible. So they had a bet, 1999. In 25 years, explanation of consciousness. And the bet was the winner will get a crate of champagne or something from the loser. Now they had forgotten about it. Last year somebody reminded them, hey guys, 25 years are over. So they had another meeting in NYU. Unfortunately, I had a class at that day, so I could not go to it. I wanted to attend that meeting. And in the beginning of the meeting, somebody told me it's on YouTube. Its whole thing is recorded, so I have to see. In the beginning of the meeting, Christoph Koch said, we have lost. 25 years has passed, neuroscience has advanced a lot, but we are not even 1 inch closer to understanding what consciousness is. This is the thing. Is it at all possible that consciousness is not the brain? The brain activity is closely implicated in consciousness, but consciousness is not reducible to the brain. And that opens up the field for all these other theories of consciousness. Anyway, going ahead with this question, what was the answer? If the question is brilliant, the answer is also brilliant. Swami Vivekananda said, we must ask, these questions are ancient questions in the Upanishads. But each generation must ask these questions for themselves. So we must again ask these questions in our time, in the 21st century. And then he says, it is not that the answers were not found. The answers were found. But as the centuries rolled by, the answers gathered strength and nuance and depth. I'm paraphrasing Vivekananda. And it is true. I was thinking about it. Upanishad gives an answer. We will see now. Then what happened? For centuries afterwards, these answers became the subject for commentary, bhashya, sub-commentaries. They became the topic of hot debates between the Sankhyans and the Vedantins, between the Buddhists and Jainas. And so came an age of philosophy, darshana. And so these same Upanishadic answers, by a mutual process of debate, of criticizing, of defending, they got additional depth. It became more sophisticated with a lot of nuance and arguments and logic. And again rolled down another 1,000 years. And today, we are in the age of quantum theory. We are in the age of AI and modern consciousness studies. The same questions, the same answers will get additional depth. Some people say, there's a possibility of a question here, Vedantins, it's a tradition, ancient tradition. So someone might say, what's the need of bringing in all those things? Quantum theory, consciousness studies. Isn't the Vedanta we find the Upanishads and the Gita and the Shankara's works enough for our enlightenment? It is true, it's enough. However, what is the need of bringing all these new ideas into it? Is because, first of all, think about those minds. Think about Shankara, Nagarjuna, Kumarila Bhatta, the kind of mind you see in those texts. Today, if they were existing today, they're living today, would they not be interested in the latest theories, latest ideas? They engaged with all kinds of opponents during their time. So why would they not engage today? They would engage. Look at Vivekananda here in this country, just the other day, 100 years ago. He was delighted to meet William James at Harvard University and interacted with him. He was delighted to meet with Nikola Tesla and said, Tesla, I have to tell people today, not the car, the scientist. There is actually a Vivekananda Tesla correspondence. It's there. And what did they discuss? Not pleasantries. They discussed Vedanta, Sankhya, and modern physics and cosmology. So today also, if those minds were present today, they would happily engage with quantum theory, with AI and consciousness studies and so on. What was the answer given by the teacher in the Upanishad? If the question is amazing, the question is amazing because we are still asking that question. But the answer is even more amazing and slightly mysterious. So let's look at the answer. Shrotrasya shrotram manaso mano yad vachoha vacham sau pranasya pranaha chakshushas chakshurati muchya dhira pretyasmad lokanamrita bhavanti. What did he say? You want to know how you are having the experience, how the ear is having the experience of hearing? Yes. It is because of the ear of the ear. How the mind has the experience of thinking? Yes. It's because of the mind of the mind. How the eyes are having the experience of seeing? By now the student is clever, so he would say, is it because of eye of the eye? Yes. Now, why such peculiar language? What does the teacher mean? And why this language? A lot has been said here, if you unpack this. First, when he says ear of the ear, eye of the eye, the mind of the mind, what he means is, it's not the ear, it's not the eye. How are we having the experience of seeing? One answer could be, investigate the eyes, investigate the optic nerves, investigate, then you'll be led to the brain center. And all of these have been thoroughly investigated. Volumes and volumes of books, volumes and volumes of PhDs have been done on this. And a lot of knowledge has come. Still, we do not have an answer. How am I having the experience of seeing? Because the experience of seeing is not just the mechanism of the eyes and the lens and the optic nerves and the brain. It is also consciousness. Until we understand consciousness, we cannot answer adequately. How am I having the experience, the first person experience, the subjective experience of vision? If you study the lens, what will you find? A lens. You'll find in the eyeballs, blood vessels, capillaries, fine nerves extending back to the brain centers. That's what you will find. You will not find vision. You will not find colors, the experience of seeing colors and shapes. You won't find that. You will find receptors for the various color frequencies. But the actual vivid experience we are having right now. There was a philosopher called Jackson. He has a thought experiment called Mary. Now imagine there's a person called Mary who has been in a room all her life from her childhood, black and white room. Everything in her room, her clothes, everything is black and white. She has never seen color. But she is an expert on the color red because she has read all the books and papers which have been written about the color red. She's a multiple PhD on red, but she has never seen a red color anywhere. Now, the experiment is like this. One day, imagine Mary steps out of that room and sees a red rose for the first time. Remember, she's an expert on red. Now, Jackson asks this question. The moment she sees the red rose for the first time in her life, now is she knowing something new? Is she seeing something new or not? We will say yes, she is seeing something new. Although she has all theoretical knowledge about red, but the experience of red is not the knowledge about red. So the experience which we are having, first person experience, cannot be explained without consciousness. So the first part of the answer, ear of the ear, eye of the eye, mind of the mind, what is it saying? It's making a big claim. By knowing the physiology of the ears and the eyes, you cannot explain adequately the first person experience of vision or hearing. By studying psychology, you cannot explain adequately the first person experience of thinking, remembering, enjoying, suffering, forgetting. You cannot explain. So there is an objective side which you can study, but the subjective side will not be explained. So it is not the ear itself. The ear is important, not the ear itself. It's called the ear of the ear, eye of the eye, mind of the mind, the tongue of the speech of the speech, like that. So that's the first point. It is something beyond these physiological or psychological systems. But second, so these are all positions which can be contested. And it has been. There was a very well-known mathematician, scientist, Marvin Minsky. I never met him. He's passed away. He was in Harvard. Very well-known mathematician, and also in, I think, cybernetics or something, I forget. He was a big skeptic of these consciousness studies. His pushback, his objection was, there is no problem of consciousness. Just we have a problem of seeing, of hearing, of thinking. These are different problems. You put them in one basket and you're calling it problem of consciousness. There's no problem of consciousness. The Upanishadic view is, no, there is. There's an actual real thing called consciousness, which illumines all these. The second thing we get when we unpack that answer, ear of the ear. So it is something distinct from the ears, distinct from the eyes, distinct from the mind. Consciousness is distinct from all of them, separate. However, look, he could have said it's not the ears, it's something other than the ears, something other than the mind, something other than the eyes. But what does he say? It is the ear of the ear, eye of the eye, mind of the mind. He's still using the word ear, eyes, mind. We're meaning thereby, although it is something distinct from the ears and the eyes and the mind and the tongue, it is something right there in the ears, eyes, mind and tongue, right there, which is implicit there, which is pervasive there, immanent in this physiology, in the psychology, right there, which is powering these experiences. I like the electricity example. Here is the light, which is illumining the hall. Here is the camera, which is taking pictures. Here's the microphone, which is amplifying sound. But when they were in the shop, before the school bought them and put them here, the light did not shine. The microphone did not amplify sound. The camera did not take pictures. The clock did not tell the time. They were all quiet. They didn't do anything. Then I can ask the question, what is it that got into them? What shining thing has gotten into them, which makes this light illumine the hall, which makes the camera take pictures, which makes this microphone amplify sound? What one thing? And we all know. You say, Swami, it's electricity. So there is something called electricity, which is distinct from the microphone, which is distinct from the camera, which is distinct from the light and the clock, but which has gotten into the microphone, into the camera, into the light and into the clock, and then making them do this diverse things that they are designed to do. Can I say then, electricity is the mic of the mic, the camera of the camera, the light of the light, and the clock of the clock in that language? So consciousness is again talking about consciousness. It is not only different from the body and mind, it's also pervading the body and mind and giving us various subjective experiences. The third thing we get from this answer, ear of the ear, eye of the eye, that consciousness is one, not many. That which is the ear of the ear is the same thing which is the eye of the eye, is the same thing which is the mind of the mind, is the same thing which is the speech of the speech, the breath of the breath. What is that thing? Consciousness. It's one thing. They are not diverse, different, separate entities present here. There is one answer to all these questions. All of this we get from that amazing phrasing, ear of the ear, eye of the eye, mind of the mind. But then the teacher goes on further to say, this consciousness, if you realize, if you appreciate it, if you notice it, understand what it is. Atimuchya dhira pretyasmad lokad amrita bhavanti. The word atimuchya in Sanskrit is a powerful word. It means transcends. If you realize this one consciousness in this body-mind, what happens? You immediately transcend this body-mind. What does that mean? You realize, I am not the body. Just as if I am in a car, I am not the car. Nobody makes that mistake. If I am wearing these clothes, I am not these clothes. Even while I am in the car, even while I am in the clothes, I don't think I am these things. This is transcending. To transcend the body does not mean you will have some kind of out-of-body experience. What kind of experience will you have? This experience. This is the beauty of Advaita Vedanta. It explains spirituality in this experience which we are having. Not demanding that you have another extraordinary experience, which you may have, that will also be powered by the same consciousness. This is another amazing thing you see about Vedanta. Suppose whatever we are experiencing now, whatever we are seeing now, hearing, smelling, tasting, thinking, remembering, it's all because of consciousness, the light of the lights, which you are. Tomorrow, if you or I are lucky enough to see God, like Sri Ramakrishna, have a vision of Ma Kali, of God in some form, it will still be that same consciousness which experiences. Can you experience God without consciousness? No. Now, so Vedanta is interested in that consciousness which makes all of our experiences possible. Our mundane, our day-to-day experiences, pleasant and painful, and our peak experiences, our spiritual experiences, all experiences are made possible by this one consciousness. If you realize that, immediately the first thing will be atimutya, transcend. We realize, I am this light of lights, not this physical body. I am not even produced by the nervous system and brain. I am not even this mind, these thoughts and feelings and emotions and memories. That's what we identify ourselves most essentially with. If you ask the question, who am I? What am I? We immediately point, here, this is what I am. But this is the body. And say, no, I am not this body, I am embodied, I am here in this body. You are referring to the mind, thoughts, memories, ideas, the personality. But both of them are illumined and lit up by one light, that one consciousness. If I am that one light, then I cannot be the physical body, which is material, which keeps on changing. I cannot be the mind. And there are, to unpack that, how do you transcend? When you realize your consciousness, you realize you're not the body-mind. How does that happen? And the whole range of arguments and insights, this is called, in Vedanta, Atma Anatma Viveka. Those who have heard Vedanta talks, you will recall, changing and unchanging, conscious and not conscious, the seer and the seen, drig and drishya, one and many, many arguments can be given. I know about 9 or 10 such arguments which can be provided to distinguish you, consciousness, from body-mind. But today I will give you one more, a powerful classical Vedantic argument, which I don't know for what reason I have never used earlier. But I'll give you this argument. It's a beautiful, elegant argument, but please follow. It's based on the 3 states of waking, dreaming, being. What are we trying to do? Atimutya, transcend. How do I know that I am not the body-mind? I am, but I am not the body-mind. Although the body and mind are there. How do I know? This method is called in Sanskrit Anvaya Vyatireka, method of agreement and difference. We find in many Vedanta texts. It goes like this. 2 things are one or they are related if they always go together. But they are not related, they are not one, they are independent, they are discrete, they are separate if you can have one without the other. If 2 things are always together, you can never find them separately. Agreement, this is there, this is there, this is there, this is also there. All the time, never possible to separate them. Then they must be related in some way. They may even be identical to each other. They may be connected to each other. But if you can show one without the other, and the other without the one, even when they're together, you know they're not the same. One nice example is this lovely old person, grandfather or grandmother. When you go to them, they have a nice bright smile. But you have this question, do those teeth belong to him or not? And one day you go at night suddenly to his room and he's sitting there and he gives you a nice toothless grin. And the teeth are sitting in the bowl there, separately. Then you realize, although I always see the teeth in the mouth of that person, the teeth are separate from this person, from the body. They're 2 separate things. They are often seen together, but they are not connected as such. They are independent and separate. So method of agreement in difference. Can I see the teeth without the grandfather? Can I see grandfather without the teeth? Then they are not one and the same. If they were natural, you couldn't see them separately. Always have to go together. Now using that example, grandfather and teeth example, let's apply it to ourselves. If I can demonstrate that I can exist without the body, then you will agree, you will be convinced, or you will feel compelled to take this seriously, that I am not literally the body. But for that, I have to experience myself without the body. I exist, but the body is not there. Then only. Otherwise, I'm always seeing myself with the body. If you keep saying, no, consciousness is not generated by the body, but always, whenever I'm conscious, body is there. So, can I experience myself without the body? And even more subtle and more difficult. You say, I am not the mind. But whenever I am, wherever I am, the mind is always working. By mind, I mean thoughts, ideas, emotions, identity, personality, all of it. I will show you now. I will show you yourself without the body and without the mind. Then you will see, oh, I see what you mean. Then they are not one and the same. They are not connected to each other. So the method of the three states goes like this. In the waking state, right now, we have an experience of ourselves, and that experience includes the body. Here is the body. And when I look inwards in my experience, I have the mind, thoughts, ideas, memories, plans, projects. Body and mind are there. And I, the sense of self, whatever it is, it's also there. I'm here. And of course I experience the mind. And of course I experience the body. But the moment I fall asleep, and I go into the world of dreams, there also in the dreams, something is happening. There is a place which I see, there are people whom I see, some kind of narrative is going on, some kind of experience is going on, and I am also there in my own dream. I'm there. Now, this body, which is there, which is sleeping on the bed, but that body sleeping on the bed is not part of my sense of self in the dream. I'll repeat that. In the dream, when I'm experiencing the dream, the way I experience myself, this body, it's not the body sleeping on the bed. It's a body created, projected by the dreaming mind. Now, what's your point here? My point here, if you ask. My point is this. We can continue to have a sense of self without the body tagging along all the time in our own experience, subjectively, phenomenologically. My sense of self continues even when I'm not experiencing this body. Grandfather is there without the teeth. Grandfather in the dream, teeth on the bed, lying and sleeping. In that case, I and the body need not be literally the same. I can continue to experience the body. You might doubt here, you say that's subjectively, but you, the subjective person, is being generated by the body, the brain. Hard problem of consciousness. 25 years passed. No, you still have not been able to demonstrate. Oh, by the way, not only it was not demonstrated, I met Professor Christoph Koch, very eminent, distinguished gentleman. I had long talks with him just last year in Venice in a conference. And he told me until recently he was a materialist with regard to brain and consciousness. He said, no, I'm no longer a materialist about it. He said, not that I'm accepting your Vedantic view or your Buddhist view, but no, I'm open to it now. I am no longer claiming that it can be explained by the brain. Who is saying this? One of the leading neuroscientists of the whole world right now, today. That's where we are at today. He's very open about it now. So, I have an experience of myself without the physical body. And it will not do to say the immediate answer which a physicalist will have, a materialist will have, no matter what you experience, you are being generated by the brain. No, then you have to demonstrate. And it's become enormously difficult to demonstrate with the help of modern science that the brain is generating consciousness. You can't. You cannot. Because of the hard problem of consciousness. All right, go further. Deep sleep. According to Vedanta, deep sleep is not an absence of experience, it's an experience of absence. Same consciousness. You're experiencing the absence of objects. Nothing is there, just consciousness. What is deep sleep? General idea of deep sleep is there is no consciousness. We are unconscious. The Vedantic idea of deep sleep is that there is only consciousness there. But there is nothing to be conscious about. Nothing to be conscious of. Because the body is sleeping, we don't experience the world or the body. Because the mind has gone to sleep, we don't experience dreams. No external world experience, no dream experience, no physical objects, no subtle objects. There are no objects, except there's only the absence of these objects, which is presented to consciousness. And that's deep sleep. That's general anesthesia. Yeah, it is. We think the ordinary way of understanding general anesthesia is we have knocked out your consciousness. Vedanta would say you have knocked out all objects from consciousness. That's why there's nothing to experience there. So suppose if you take that, if you assume that's all right, it can be debated. You assume that's all right. But my point is different. In deep sleep, in the experience of absence, what is experiencing absence? Consciousness is experiencing what? Nothing. But that means consciousness continues. You are the one who will wake up. Once the mind starts functioning, once the body starts functioning, you will wake up and we will stretch and we will say, I slept nicely. I slept like a log. I didn't know anything. I was so happy and blissful. In Sanskrit, Sukham Maham Aswapsama Nakinchidavesham. I slept happily. I did not know anything. Who claims it? The ego. I slept. That means in some sense, you must have been there. It's your sleep. My sleep. I don't say, I was awake, yes, I claim that. I dreamt, yes, I claim that. Those are my dreams. But I don't claim deep sleep. That's not mine. I didn't sleep. That's very strange. Will you say, I wasn't there, so how can I say I slept? I didn't sleep. If you go the other way, that no, in sleep there is no I. Nothing is there. In that case, you have to admit that after waking up all the time, every time we wake up from deep sleep, we are created anew. After every deep sleep, new person. Very strange. So, I slept. I did not know anything. I did not see, hear, smell, taste, touch anything. I did not think anything. I did not remember anything. I did not even say I am sleeping. So, that is the experience of the self without body and without mind also. Again, grandfather, no teeth. Therefore, by the method of agreement and difference, I will say, there are experiences of the self without body, dreams. There are experiences of the self without body and mind, deep sleep. Therefore, the self is not essentially body-mind. If the self was body, you could not experience it without the body. If the self was mind, you could not experience it without the mind. Therefore, self is not body, not mind. This is the first time deploying this argument, but it's a very ancient argument. This is called the method of agreement and difference. Presence and absence, co-presence and absence. Anvaya Vyatireka in Sanskrit. Anyway, the point being, Atimuchya, we transcend. I am not body, not mind. Now we understand when Shankaracharya sings, Mano buddhya hankara chittani naham. I am not the mind, I am not the intellect, I am not the memory, I am not even the ego. Chidananda rupa shivoham shivoham. I am of the nature of consciousness and bliss. I am Shiva, I am Shiva. But not only am I that light in the darkness. I was in Norway, and they say that up north, I was just 3 days ago I was there. They said, up north, there is the land of the midnight sun. The sun never sets there. One of our hosts, they said that you sit and watching in summertime, the sun setting in the western horizon, barely has it set. Light has not yet gone out from the sky. It starts rising on the eastern horizon again after. So, land of the midnight sun. But we also have that, the land of the midnight sun, in deep sleep. Darkness, nothing is there. But you are the midnight sun. You are consciousness shining in darkness. So why don't we know it? To know it, you need the mind. To self-reflexively say, okay, I am sleeping now. But then you wouldn't be sleeping. So, I exist in waking, dreaming, deep sleep. The interesting thing is, that light which exists without body and mind is exactly now with body and mind. It's exactly the same light. You are that. Now let's try a little experiment. Think about it. Suppose, in deep sleep, there is no presence of the world in your own experience. There is no presence of the body. You do not see anything, hear, smell, taste, touch anything. The body is simply not there in our experience. There are no thoughts. There are no ideas. There are no memories, good or bad. There is no sense of ego, not even the sense that I am sleeping, that's also not there. But still I am. That thought is not there that I am. I can't say that I am, but I am. That I am without any memory, without any seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, without any world to experience. That I am, that light which is there, that self. What problem does it have? At that point, what problem does it have? None. Be confident. If you visualize what could it be like, at that point, is there any problem? You might say, no, there's a problem. I'm sleeping, I have to get up quickly and go to office. But that is not there in that experience. So only after getting up you remember, okay, I have to go to office now. In deep sleep, it's not there. Think of the worst case of suffering. In the ICU, in the hospital there, sick, dying, terminally ill, suffering, unhappy. But the moment they go into deep sleep, what problem do they have? Nothing. They cannot have it. What desire do they have? What do they want? Nothing. Nothing. What do they expect? Nothing. Are they waiting for something to happen? When will it be morning? I will wake up. No. What anxiety do they have? What fear do they have? Nothing. What spirituality do they need? Nothing. What Vedanta says is that that same light, that same self is exactly like that only right now. These worlds which we experience, waking world, dream world, body, senses, these are all appearances in that consciousness. Vedanta has this stunning claim. There is nothing in your dreams and nothing in our waking which was not already there in deep sleep. What was there in deep sleep is exactly like that right now. You can relax and enjoy these movies. They'll be over very soon. New movies will come. All it does is, it tells you you are not the car. Drive the car happily. It's not that once you realize you are not the car, you'll have to get out of the car and run away. No. I'm not the car. How can I drive it? Well, you can drive it because you are not the car. We can inhabit in this world of appearance in consciousness. Because we are not it. We are this consciousness in which this world is appearing. There was one sadhu, monk in Haridwar long ago, one of our swamis who lived there in Rishikesh. One of our swamis who lived there, Swami Dhireshanandaji. I never saw him, but he has written a diary. He met this other monk, whose monk's name was Bhikshu Shankarananda. I've only read a small book which was published about him. This sadhu used to live on what we call in India charpai, like a cot under a tree. Did not even have a hut to stay and had no possessions at all. Certainly no books. Somebody asked him, you are a great jnani, a non-dualist, a man of knowledge and philosopher. Where are your books? All these Vedanta people, they have lots of books. So where are your books? Don't you have books? And the monk said, oh, I do. I have 3 books and I read them every day. My books are called Waking, Dreaming and Sleeping. And I read them every day. And every day they tell me that you are this one luminous light, unaffected by anything that happens in waking or dreaming. And I enjoy.
Transcend all sorrow. You attain to immortality. We have, so this is the core teaching. I will pause now because we have gone out of time. We are out of time now. But I will follow up. This teaching becomes very dramatic, even more dramatic. So do come tomorrow. So we will see what happens next. Some extraordinary insights are given by the teacher, and some of the most sublime teachings are given. That we will check. We'll take a look at tomorrow and how to apply it in our day-to-day lives. I'll do a peace chant now. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tat Sat Shri Ramakrishna Paramastu. Thank you. Now, I just wanted to demonstrate something. Notice the space in front of me. It looks dark. Just like it's dark here, it's dark there also. All this seems dark. But notice what happens when I thrust my hand into this space. Look. You see? Huh? You see my hand? What happens to my hand? It blazes with light. Which means, right here, it's full of light. It's full of light. And yet it seems to be dark. And only when I put something into it, that is, you can see the light. Not only you can see my hand, but you can see the light also. If I take my hand away, you can't even see the light. What's the point? This is exactly what happens in deep sleep from a Vedantic perspective. It's not that the light has been switched off. It's just that the hand has been removed. In waking and dreaming, it's like this. In deep sleep, it's like this. But the light is constant. So that is a very good example. And we have the light.
My name is Shrima, and I'm deeply grateful for your teachings. But I have a question, and I don't know if I can articulate this that properly, but my question is, if consciousness is one, then why is my experience limited just this mind-body complex, and I don't have access to other people's experience?
Yes, that's a good question. That's a really good question, and that should come. If we say we are all consciousness and everything is in that one consciousness and everything is one consciousness, then just as I have access to my own thoughts, I should have access to everybody's thoughts. That's a creepy thought. But our inner thoughts, our private lives are private. Or don't add any more people into that line, because we'll be here all night, I think. Our own inner experiences, our thoughts, our memories, ideas, feelings are private. I don't have access, even if I'm one consciousness, I don't have access to the minds of all beings or the perspectives of all beings. Why not? The whole world is, not only that, if the whole universe is an appearance in one consciousness, then shouldn't I know or experience the entire universe? But I'm experiencing only a tiny bit of it, just this hall. I can only see these few people. I can only hear whatever is being happening here. But what about the huge universe outside this hall? I don't see any of it. I don't hear what's going on there. I don't smell it, taste it, touch it. I don't even know. There's so many things going on in this universe. I don't know it. What is on the dark side of the moon? I don't know it. Until this Artemis photos came in, we didn't know it. And what is there right now? We don't know it. Not only that, right here, there may be these tiny particles, atoms and molecules. We don't experience all those things. We have only a very narrow band of experience of knowledge. How is that possible? Here's the answer. It's a very subtle but wonderful answer in Vedanta. There is a distinction between consciousness and knowledge. In Vedantic terms, there's a distinction between Sakshi and Pramada, consciousness and knowledge. What is knowledge? Consciousness mediated through the mind and the sense organs, intellect and all that, it gives us various kinds of knowledge. And it's knowledge from one perspective of each mind. So consciousness, one consciousness shining through you is giving you the view which you are having now. You don't, right now you're not seeing what's behind you. But I can see what's behind me. I can't see what's behind me. You can see what's behind me right now. So depending on our perspective, consciousness will get localized knowledge, localized experiences. So knowledge and consciousness, knowledge may be limited, but it's one consciousness. Do you see how that can work? I'll put it another way, a second example.
Dream example. When we wake up from the dream, we realize the whole thing was in my mind. But when we were in the dream, it did not feel like everything is inside me. It felt like I am here and those people are outside me and this is what's happening. Something nice or bad is happening. We don't feel that it's all in me. It's only after we wake up then we realize the whole thing was an appearance. Similarly, it is one consciousness, but it appears as subject and object because that's the only way of experiencing. So you appear as one subject and everything else becomes your object. And not only that, that one subject only knows a few of those objects at a time, not everything. Every subject has a certain domain of knowledge. Let me say something deeper. Actually, the Kena Upanishad mentions this. Everything in the universe is in you as the known and the unknown. Right now, in consciousness, there is a slice of the universe which you call the known, in the sense I see it, hear it, smell it, I think about it, understand it. And there is a sense of a vast unknown, which I don't know. But that sense of the vast unknown is also in you. You, the consciousness, are experiencing it. You don't know it, but you know it in general as the vast unknown. If you turn the searchlight of your knowledge, your eyes, your senses, your science to that, you will know it. But even when it is unknown, to whom, where is it unknown? In consciousness of God. The senior most member of our Vedanta society, Bill Conrad, he's 102 years this year. He's going to be 103 very soon. He said, Swami, it is not true that the world is in consciousness. The world is there and we come into it as conscious beings. This is the common sense view, the materialist view. And he says, I will prove it to you. Swami, we will leave this room, I will put a camera in the room. He actually told me this. We'll put the camera in the room, we will leave the room, I will come back into the room and I will show you the pictures of the empty room in the camera. Neither you or I were there, but the room was there. It's not that the room is... This is called subjective idealism. So people think that Vedanta is a kind of subjective idealism. It isn't. My answer to him was, Bill, in your own mind, in your own awareness, you thought of this experience, this experiment. In your awareness, you set up a camera and you told me, Swami, let's go out of the room. And in your awareness, we came back, both of us came back into the room. And in your awareness, you showed me pictures of an empty room in the camera. At which point did you step outside your awareness? The known and the unknown. The teacher will say actually, the next mantra in the Kena Upanishad. Both the known and the unknown are appearances in consciousness. Why do I not know that part of the universe? What is in the mind of that person? You would have to be that mind then to know that. Right now you are pure consciousness and you know what's there in this mind. But even when this mind falls asleep, you will not even know what's there in this mind. You will just be bare awareness, like that blank, the darkness, but the light is full of light. So that way. Yes.
Thank you, sir.
Namaste, Swamiji. My name is Vasu. So grateful.
Can you hear? Yes.
Namaste, Swamiji. My name is Vasu. I wanted to ask you something about the current times we are living in, how to handle certain situations. Yesterday in your talks, you highlighted how everyone thinks that their beliefs or religions and so on are the correct way. So this way of thinking has always been there, but nowadays the sentiments are so highly intense. People are highly animated, so people are misusing religion to argue for the intolerance and exclusion of others that are different. So my question is, how do we maintain relationships with close family, friends, colleagues who hold such views, and how to somewhat, handle such times?
Yes. In difficult times like this, we must be more centered in our spiritual nature. If we are spiritual seekers, if we are meditators, if we are Vedantic philosophers, if we believe and have deep faith and reverence for God, if we want the welfare of all beings, in difficult times, let us be more centered in our spiritual nature. That's what we should be. I remember in COVID times, at the beginning of COVID in New York, we had the largest number of casualties anywhere in the world. Every night there were more than 1,000, every day, 1,000 plus casualties in the city alone, in New York. I was giving a talk and somebody said, at this time you have to think about Vedanta in COVID. I said, if Vedanta is not useful at this time, then what's the use of Vedanta? Do you think Vedanta is just a nice philosophy which we can study a little bit, attend a few talks, argue and reason, and that's it. But when trouble comes, Vedanta must step up. Our philosophy, our spirituality, whatever it is, it must serve us. Vivekananda said, I do not care for a religion which promises heaven after death, but cannot wipe the tears of the widow's eyes, cannot lift a piece of bread to the hungry man's mouth. I do not care for such a religion. So, Vedanta must be of use to us in this troubled time also. You must become a center of calmness, of acceptance. If there is one consciousness, then whoever you are, whichever political party you support, whichever religion you support or do not support, whatever your views, you still that one same consciousness. What importance do views have? The moment you fall asleep, views are gone. You are still there. That means views, grandfather and teeth. Views are like the teeth. They are sitting there and you are apart from. You exist before the views have come and gone. What is more important than the view? You. You are more important than your views. So you and I are one reality. Views may be different. The Jainas have a very nicely, they have what is called a sevenfold logic. Saptabhangi Nyaya. They say, for example, it is maybe from some perspective, it is not from some perspective, it both is and is not from some perspective, it neither is nor is not from some other perspective. So like this, they give 7 possible alternatives. The reason is they want to be, says, non-violent in philosophy. The Hindus say there is a self, an immortal soul. The Buddhists say anatma, no non-self theory. Not nonsense, non-self. And the Jainas say, yes, from one perspective there is a self. From another perspective there is no self. From the Atman perspective there is a self. But if you look at the body, mind, there is no self in this body and mind. Both are correct. Maybe yes, maybe in this way and maybe in that way. That's a wonderful way of accepting all possible views. And you can still have your own view. Yes. Thank you.
Pranam Swamiji, thank you for coming to our North Carolina Vedanta Center and helping us with the Universal Temple. My question is intuition our inner voice of the Atman or the subconscious mind, which provides guidance, sometimes with warnings, sometimes with specific choices that are most beneficial to our overall being? Are these perhaps direct communications from God via His angels or high souls, as they are referred to sometimes? Thank you.
Could be. Does intuition give us some kind of higher knowledge? Could be. But Vedanta is a little suspicious of intuition. One Vedanta teacher in Chennai, Swami Sarvapriyananda, he has a very humorous way of teaching. When he was asked the same question, I will repeat back his answer. He was asked the same question and his answer was, we do not believe in intuition, we believe in tuition. What is Vedanta? Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana. You hear or you study systematically. When you think about it and meditate upon what you have heard or studied. So back to Vedanta, back to the Shastras, back to the teacher, connected. If you have an intuitive realization, a sudden intuitive strong sense of something, it may turn out to be right, but always check it with our sense of right and wrong. Always check it with what Vedanta says. It's a good way to cross-check. Because our minds can always deceive us. Can we dress it up as intuition? May not be right. So yes, Vedanta will always say, you check the best. What tells us right and wrong, what is good and bad, is actually instead of giving it a fancy name like intuition, we have an older name for it. We call it viveka, conscience. Everybody has a conscience, a sense of right and wrong. And that tells us what is right and wrong. That also may be wrong, but generally it isn't. Generally we have a good idea of what is good and what is bad.
Hello, my name is Srujan. So my question is this: in Vedanta, it seems that we place a higher purity or
There is a feedback.
it seems that we place a higher purity or emphasis on consciousness as opposed to mind and body. My question is, why is that when consciousness can only be experienced or there can only be awareness of it via the mind and the body? It's the only way it can be conscious of itself.
Okay, good question. Can you hear me? Can you hear me now? No? Yes? Okay. No. You can hear me? Without the mic. You can hear me without the mic. Now you can hear me. Yes. First of all, a general question. Why this emphasis on consciousness? Why not body and mind? Remember the original question, what did we start with? What am I? Who am I in the sense of what exactly am I? Our intuitive, instinctive answer to that question is, I am this. And we point to the body and to the mind, embodied mind. That's what we think we are. Most of us. That's what we instinctively think we are. And Vedanta contests that. It says if you look inwards, if you're in our own experience, step by step, logically and carefully tracking our own experience, we realize we are consciousness with body and mind. We are not bodies and minds with consciousness. The reverse, what Vedanta does is, we think we are bodies. Nobody denies we are conscious or aware. Everybody agrees we are conscious. But we generally tend to think I am a body with consciousness. And Vedanta is telling us, no. You are consciousness with a body. It's a big switch. Why this emphasis on consciousness? It's actually people think that Vedanta overemphasizes consciousness. No, Vedanta actually does not deny body-mind. I would say Vedanta really explains body-mind. What is it? It is consciousness alone with a mind, and consciousness alone with a body, with a subtle experience and a physical experience. So the body-mind are explained in depth when you understand it from a perspective of consciousness. Yes. Now, the last part of your question was very interesting. After all, why not stress body and mind? We experience consciousness only in body and mind, not without body and mind. It's exactly the other way around. We experience the body because of consciousness. We experience the mind because of consciousness. We do not experience consciousness because of body and mind. It feels that way. That only when the body is there, only when the mind is there, then only the possibility of I am conscious, this conscious experience. Consciousness can experience itself in the presence of body-mind. But you just saw what I did with the light and the projector. Without the hand, the place is full of light, but you don't see that light. With the hand, you not only see the hand, the light illumines the hand, but the light also becomes manifested. So consciousness and object, what do they do for each other? Consciousness illumines and reveals the object. But what does the object do for consciousness? The object makes manifest the already existing consciousness. What did the hand do for the light and what did the light do for the hand? If there's no light, you wouldn't have seen my hand at all. So the light illumined the hand. But what did the hand do for the light? The hand manifested the already existing light. So that's what the object and consciousness do for each other. This is Sankhya philosophy. Advaita goes a step further. Advaita insists that the hand, the body and mind, they are not separate. Here the light and the hand are separate things. But in Vedanta, you have the body, mind are not separate from consciousness. Okay, let me add something here. Grandfather and teeth example, the method of agreement and difference. So what we demonstrated was, in the waking state, we are conscious, there is a mind, there is a body. In the dream state, I am conscious and there is a mind which generates the dream. But the body is not part of that experience in the dream. In the deep sleep state, I am consciousness. But there is no body and there is no mind, which is part of my experience. There is nothing, no physical world, no mental world also. Just consciousness. And thereby I demonstrated, Vedanta wants to demonstrate that consciousness, our real nature is consciousness, and it is not body-mind, because we can exist without body-mind. But now, flip it around. Flip it around. The only time body, mind and world can be experienced are in consciousness. Can you ever experience the body, mind and world without consciousness? No, it's a trick question, because experience without consciousness is not possible. So, then if you apply the method of agreement and disagreement, you will come to the conclusion, body, mind and the world are nothing other than consciousness, because they can never be experienced without consciousness. It's exactly the opposite of what you are saying. Vedanta, it is a Vedantic conclusion. So the body, mind and the world are not other than consciousness. They are expressions of consciousness, they are experienced in consciousness, they are none other than consciousness, therefore non-dual, Advaitam. This is where non-duality comes. Maybe I'll drop it there. The questions are getting more and more subtle and difficult. But the line is increasing. No more. We will not have time. We can take up questions tomorrow then. But not everybody's questions will be answered tonight, I think. We have no time for that. Yes.
Namaste, Swamiji. My name is Seish, and my question is, what is the difference between knowing who I am on an intellectual level and actually knowing who I am?
Okay, so knowing who I am on an intellectual level and knowing who I am, realizing it. The word realizing is very good here. First of all, if this Vedantic, Sankhyan, Buddhist, all of these are very ancient wisdom traditions. If intellectually also we appreciate what they are trying to say, it's a great thing to know. We know so many things in the world. This is something you can add to your repertoire of knowledge. It's a great thing to know. A very ancient classical body of philosophy, darshana. So great, if we can understand it intellectually. However, as far as Vedanta is concerned, there is a wrinkle to this. There's a little twist in the tail here. Vedanta will say, if you claim to know it intellectually, but not really, not actually, not realized it, then you don't even know it intellectually. Vedanta will say, if you really know it intellectually, you're enlightened. It's not intellectual knowledge. That intellectual knowledge in Vedanta just deepens into enlightenment. There is a stage in which I feel I get it, but I am not enlightened. That stage may come. Vedanta will say, you still don't get it. What's your name?
My name is Sesh.
Sesh. So, Sesh, right now, the knowledge that you're Sesh, is it intellectual or is it a fact?
It's intellectual.
It's something you have understood, but it's both intellectual and a fact. If I ask you, Sesh, do you go through a series of arguments and conclusions and then say, yeah, I think as far as I know, I am Sesh? No, it's a fact, I am Sesh. And I am Brahman, I am limitless consciousness. It should be as clear as that. And not just something that has been understood as a conclusion after some philosophical. So these philosophical teachings and reasoning is a way of introducing us to ourselves, as we already are, as a fact, not as an idea or a construct. There are stages to this. It's not that fast. There are stages to this. At a very subtle stage, a very advanced and subtle stage, when it's absolutely clear to you, in fact, these are some of the instructions, maybe someday I'll go there. When it's absolutely clear to you, this is a part of non-dual meditation. It's absolutely clear to you, I am awareness. And this mind, with its thoughts and personality, appears in me, the awareness. This body and the world revealed appears in me, the awareness. This is very clear. At that point, the instructions are, the next instruction will be, drop all Vedantic concepts. Atma, Anatma, self, not self, Brahman, pure consciousness. Drop all of that. Why? Those concepts are like the scaffolding around a building. Now the construction is done. But you have to remove the scaffolding now. Appreciate the building standing on its own, by itself. So I am the consciousness. Drop the words. See the reality for as it is. Then you don't need Vedanta. But you are now a real master of Vedanta because you can bring Vedanta into play, all these concepts and teachings, you can bring it into play or let go of them. The Vedanta itself says this. What happens in enlightenment? Yatra Veda Aveda Bhavanti. Where the Vedas are no Vedas. That is enlightenment. Yes.
We'll have two more questions.
Two more questions, okay? Others will don't worry, come tomorrow. We'll answer your questions. Sorry for those who but we'll give you first, you should claim your coupon tomorrow. You'll get first chance. Yes. Please ask the question.
Pranam Swamiji. My name is Vivek. So I have experienced I'm not the body, I'm not the mind in deep states of meditation because as I come out of meditation that I've experienced the mind waking up. That means I'm not the body, I'm not the mind as well. And as you mentioned that the same consciousness pervades in the waking state as well, through the senses, through the mind as well. My question is, if the definition of consciousness is Satchidananda, why am I experiencing misery in my waking state and how can I experience the bliss in the waking state all the time?
Yes. Well, if I am that pure consciousness, how is it that I'm experiencing misery? No, it's a good question. In the Panchadashi, in the 11th or 12th verse of the first chapter, the Panchadashikara asks it, if I am bliss itself, I am Ananda, how is it that I don't experience it? I am consciousness, I experience that in the waking state. But I don't experience myself as unlimited consciousness. And I don't experience the bliss aspect, the Ananda aspect of it. If it was completely unknown, I would have understood. But it's not completely unknown. I am, and I am a conscious, that part is known. So it is because of incomplete knowledge, because of ignorance. Right now when I say I experience bliss, carefully look at that statement. I experience bliss. I experience misery. If I experience misery, say I experience misery, so I am miserable. If I experience misery, it's like saying I experience the bottle, so I am a bottle. But no, it's an object of my experience. What am I? I am consciousness in which a bottle is appearing. A bottle is appearing and disappearing. Similarly, I am the consciousness in which misery is appearing and disappearing. But I, consciousness, am not miserable. That is not clear to me. It sounds like some funny logic. But it's actually a fact. The more and more I appreciate it, I will notice, as I understand it, I will notice that I am not becoming the misery-free consciousness. Rather, I am noticing what's already a fact. And it will be very strange to me to think that someday I thought I, the consciousness, was miserable. No. To think that I am miserable, you must think I, the consciousness, am also consciousness plus mind, plus body, plus this person. Then I am miserable. But I am this bare consciousness, Mera Gunda Thakur. That can never be miserable. What is there in deep sleep is exactly there right now. The entirely problem-free light which you saw in deep sleep. Now it's still that problem-free light. But how wonderful is the play of Maya. It seems to be a samsari bent over with so many troubles.
Namaste Swamiji, my name is Astonishing. And coincidentally, my question is an extension of what the previous question was.
Okay, it's answered.
No, it is an extension of it.
Yes.
So whenever I, alone or with my friends, when I'm reading scripture, I'm reading the Bhagavad Gita or the Upanishads, there is this profound sense of bliss in me.
Very good.
When I'm listening to one of your talks on YouTube, or right now when I'm listening to you, there is bliss all around me.
Very good. That's wonderful.
I experience, there is no I, it's just an experience of bliss.
Very good.
But whenever I am in the world, I have to do my work, I have to go, come back and do everything, that experience goes away.
Yes.
What am I missing? Is it that the scripture is giving me the perception of bliss, or because that bliss is real to me?
Yes. Sri Ramakrishna answered this. He said, there are these ponds in Bengal, they're called pukur. And they're usually covered with this what do they call? Water hyacinth, with pana. And yes. And he says, when you use your hand and you sweep it aside, the sparkling water underneath comes up. You can see it. But if the moment you let it go, his words, naste naste firyashi, it dances back into the water hyacinth. Similarly, the veil of Maya, it is removed by the viveka of Vedanta. It can be removed by the samadhi of yoga also, or by the bhakti of devotion also. That can be removed by the devotional bhakti. But in Vedanta, this viveka, this discernment which we are doing, you are removing the water hyacinth which is covering the water of Brahman. And if you let it go, back to what you are not doing Vedanta anymore, it will come dancing back. Now, remember, even if it comes dancing back, underneath is the same water. You are the same blissful self even in the middle of work when you are not even thinking about Vedanta at all. You are exactly that. When you say, no, there is no use saying it because problems are always there, that experience is gone. Now remember, here there is a crucial point. When you say this, whose complaint is it? Is it the mind's complaint or your complaint? You are not the mind. Whose complaint is it?
Mine.
It's the mind's complaint. That's the game that the mind plays. Even then, abstract yourself from the mind, you will say, I'm still same problem-free self. Whatever was in deep sleep is in the dream, is in the waking. Whatever is in the Vedanta class is also in the office. Except that the mind will say, no, the experience of bliss is gone.
Oh yes.
But you are exactly the same. You tell the mind, that's your problem. I am not dependent. Who enjoys the bliss? Mind. Who complains about the lack of bliss? Mind. You are the witness. You are perfectly fine. You tell that, you see the bliss will again come back into the mind. Dakshinamurti. This is a beautiful painting of Dakshinamurti. Very good. Okay, and this is you wrote this explanation here. Thank you so much. Wonderful. Digital art. Wonderful. Wonderful. Oh, Dakshinamurti. This is Dakshinamurti. All right, thank you.
That's amazing. Thank you.